What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Fab, Freddie Fox, America's big brother, and we back with the Saturday Night Sit Down. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Fab, Freddie Fox, America's big brother, and we back with the Saturday Night Sit Down. And tonight we got content creator, digital, and stand-up comedian Brandon Dee. What's going on, my man?
What's happening, man? Who made the intro?
How are you? Yeah, you feeling that? Yeah. That was a really good friend of mine, man. I known him since like the 4th or 5th grade. His name is Renee Figueroa. He goes by RC Productions out there, and he moved out to Cali a couple years ago. But yeah, man, as soon as I was doing the show, man, I reached out to him. I said, yo, listen, I need a beat for my intro. And not even 24 hours, bro, he had this for me laid out for me. So it was just fire.
I dig it. I'm going to have to reach out to him. I like that.
Yeah, most def, man. I'll send you his details, I'm saying, right after this, man. But he does a bunch of beat battles, man. He legit, man, as you can see. And I gave him like a little bit of an idea of what I wanted to feel for him. Like I said, not even 24 hours, man. He came back with that. So I was just super happy. Nice. And I love getting the feedback from everybody who loved that, man. It's definitely what I wanted to achieve.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but it got a feel good to it. And I can hear it from your side. I can't even hear it like around me, but I just heard like the echo of it. And I'm like, that's jam.
Yeah, man. That's a gem right there, man. So thank you, man. Well, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me tonight. You know, I know you got a lot of things going on. So I'm definitely honored for you to take the time to sit down with me. As I break it down, man, and to everybody, when it comes to this show, I know you've seen a couple of clips and everything is it's really geared to around the importance of what it is to be a father, you know, and having fathers in their lives and really having strong, positive male role models. As I say all the time, I've seen a lot of my friends and a lot of people that I know who don't have their dads in their lives and how that impacts them and what kind of, lasting effects that has on people when their dads aren't around in their lives. So by sitting down with gentlemen like yourself, you know, we get to kind of point out and seeing and provide these young men with positive role models, guys who are doing the right thing and doing a lot of positive stuff in Pizzo who are being great fathers. So that's why I wanted to have you on, man. I've seen how you are with your kids and everything, and I think this is definitely in line with what I wanted, somebody who I want to and love to reach out to. So again, thank you for sitting down with me, Brandon.
Well, I first off want to say I'm grateful that you even asked me to be here, and I say that because I've been pursuing this entertainment thing almost 13 years now. Comedy 11 years, and I felt overlooked for so long. So just you reaching out, I don't care what size the platform is. If somebody reaches out to me and they want to talk to me, I'm honored, man. So thank you so much for even asking me to come on and take place in the conversation tonight.
Yeah, most definitely, man.
For myself, man, I didn't grow up with fathers. The closest thing I had to a dad was a coach by the name of Timothy McNeil. I call him Timbo. He calls me Brando. That's it's been that way since I was 12 years old, right? I'm 35 now. Tim came into my life 8th grade. Seventh, 8th grade. One of those. Became my football coach, and from there, he was like a mentor, and then from there, he became like an uncle. From there, he became like a big brother. But now, our relationship really is father and son, to the extent that when he had a stroke a couple years ago, he spoke to the nurses and the staff, spoke to them, like I was his son.
Wow.
And addressed me as such. So that's the closest thing I've had to a father. With him removed, I didn't have that masculine direction, right? I grew up with all women. Literally, I grew up with nothing but women. I was in a 3-generational household. My grandmother, my mother, and my little sister. And even outside of that, my immediate family was just my aunts. Like, I had 3 aunts that lived here. And they had 2 boys amongst them. So it was just 3 of us. But then the boys, the older guys, they moved away back to Mobile, Alabama, where we're from. And it was just me left here with all these women. So like when I say women have played a huge role in my upbringing, like That's for real. To the extent that I knew a long time ago I was going to marry a black woman because I felt like I owed that to black women.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they gave to me, so I want to make sure I keep me for them.
Right, right.
But yeah, fatherhood for me, everything I didn't get from my dad, I put that into my kids. You know, all the stuff I wish I would have had a dad to do, I try to interject those things into the relationship I have with my kids. To the extent that my dad's name was Ivan, and I said the opposite I had with my father, I want to have with my son. So I reversed his name. So it's Navi.
Wow, wow,
Yeah,
that's deep. That's deep, man.
appreciate it.
Well, no, I mean, definitely thank you for sharing that, man. You know, my first question to all the guys here, right, when we sit down, to you, if you had to think about it and put it in and label it, I guess, what do you think are some of the main characteristics and qualities you feel it takes to be a good man or a good person?
To be a good man or a good person, man, I hate this word. I hate this word. Integrity.
Wow.
I think it takes integrity, and integrity is different for everybody. Um, Working at a fire station, yeah, as you know, I'm a former firefighter. Working at a fire station, integrity is one of the key principles in probably every department around the country. But to me, integrity is not saying something behind someone's back and smiling in their face, right? If you feel a way about a person, either keep it to yourself or let that person know. So I think being a good person or a good man, integrity is number one. It's number one. You have to have integrity, and that having the respect for yourself and the respect of others.
Now, you said that real strongly and passionately. You're thinking about it, but why do you hate that word?
Because like I said, because with the fire station or fire department, they say integrity, and I think I got jaded. You know, it's stand up for what you believe in, stand by the things you do, right? So a little bit of my story, I made a mistake as a firefighter. I made a TikTok that got me in some trouble, some hot water, and I took full responsibility for it. And the fire department, their thing is brotherhood. Brotherhood. But when I got into my little situation, there wasn't brotherhood. Like I was let go. And I didn't think that was the department having integrity, especially when there's evidence of other people doing some really bad things.
Mm-hmm.
For my one little small mistake, I was let go. And then there's police officers accidentally, sometimes not accidentally, causing real harm to people.
Right.
And they either get on some little probation or, hey, just go to this other department. So for me, that word integrity is just, I don't believe that the people who use it oftentimes even believe in it themselves. So I'm like, I hate that word, man, because it's not real in so many cases. But when applied, integrity is a great thing.
Absolutely.
It's that core. It's what you are at your core.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's one of those things like they always say. It's the things you do in the dark, right? You know that's what truly tells you the person that you are and what kind of person. So having integrity and being like that makes you aware, and like you say, you take full responsibility and trying to um, stay on the right path. Excuse me, and I guess I was thinking about that as you said that too. I know when you talk about like Jada, I remember one of my jobs, where like they say that too, you know, we're a family here, we got to work together and all these things, and you know, you try to be part of the group and you try to feed in, but then you can, if you keep your eyes open, you see little groups that are formed in there and behind closed doors and all that stuff, and then you start to see that integrity matters when they want it to matter in a certain sense, or with who and all those things for all those cases. You know, I had one of those things too at one of my jobs where I was kind of forced in a way to do some extra work, you know, to do you know, level 2 stuff when I was just level 1 as a trial, they put it, and that went on for like a year. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about like, yo, so what's going on? I proved myself. I'm winning these awards. My teams. I'm outperforming some of these other people and blah, blah, blah. But I'm seeing, the people who are in that group getting promoted and getting a position before I am. And
Yeah.
it's like, part of it, like I said, hey, they are good supervisors, but I know I beat them in a couple things. But I was like, let me not get to that. So I got to a point where it was like, you know what? It's been a year, man. I'm not doing this no more. I went to HR and had a conversation over there. And eventually I did get the position, but it got tense around the work area. You know what I mean? Like, be all the people in that group that I was supposed to be a part of, now I'm like an outcast in a sense, and nobody, wants to get close. So it's understandable, like you say, when people claim integrity and then they don't live by it, and they're just using it to make themselves look good when it's relevant.
Yep.
So definitely integrity is a good one there, like you said. Now and also, when it comes to being a good person and a good man, you got to have good morals, and things like that. So for you, what are some of your key morals that you live by on a day to day basis?
Man, I've had this conversation with myself a lot, and that's a it shouldn't be a tough answer, but it is for me, because I've evolved in so many levels. I honestly feel like at 17 years old, I had a better moral compass then than I do now.
Mm.
Um, I feel like I've been jaded by the world, and I lost a lot of my innocence. Um, but moral wise, I think protection of womanhood, that's that's something I care about. Um, Protection of womanhood and not going against who I am, like not departing from who I actually am. I'm an art. I'm an artist. Like I'm an empath. That's who I am. And I'm not going to try to be anything other than that. I had a conversation with my wife, talking about the past and the young lady I dated before. And she was like, "So, what was it with that relationship? Like, why didn't it work?" And that young lady wanted me to be a lot like her father, who was a cool dude, but her father was a money man. I'm not a money man. Like, I care about creativity. I care about the arts. I don't care about money. So if you try to motivate me with money, it's not gonna work. I don't care about that. So yeah, at my core, morally, protection of womanhood, and man, artistry, bro. That's that's really all I care about.
And I can definitely relate with you what you say about that, as far as protection of women and all that, because I, just like you, was raised by a bunch of women.
Yeah.
It was just the majority. Again, and I did have my dad in the house, right? I'm not saying I did have my dad in the house, but he wasn't really, take me outside, play catch type of thing, and all the, you know what I mean. He was just more of I guess like a figure of authority, in a sense. And the biggest part was with my mom and my sister. They took a huge role. My sister's 8 years older than me, so she's like a second mom in a lot of cases. You know what I mean? Like, when my mom always said, I don't have the patience to take care of kids. That's why I had your sister. She was, you look after you, and we grew a very, very strong bond. And even at that too, the majority of my family too is a lot of girls. At one point I was living in a house with, like, I think like 7 girls at once. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
between my cousins, my mom, my aunts, and all that, like, you know what I mean? Like, and me really being the only dude there,
But you
so
feel me?
yeah, so I definitely feel you. I definitely understand, and I hold that true. You know what I mean? Like, you have that respect to kind of be the protector, of the women when it comes to that. I got into a bunch of fights too when I've seen guys just pushing girls or something like that just to be defending, because I've seen that, with my mom, my dad, when they used to have their fights or any of that things. You're just kind of geared that way because they played such a major impact in your life, raising you and being there for you and guiding you the best that they can. Um, and I know you said, like, you met your coach later on. You didn't really have your dad in your life. I seen that clip on your page, right? I guess you were in Alabama for Mardi Gras, right? And I guess you ended up stopping in front of your dad's house just out of coincidence. Um,
Yeah.
so did you? Was he just never there at all, or what was your relationship, if any, with him growing up?
So the relationship was he and my mother. Started dating young. They had me at 18. I think my mom was 18. He was maybe 21. He was a freshman or a sophomore at Alabama State. So when I came about, he jumped in. Hey, I'm going to be a dad. They decided to get married. I think I was maybe 2. They got married, and that didn't last long because Papa was a Rolling Stone, right? He had his issues that he dealt with from a infidelity standpoint. So they split up. My mom moved here to Atlanta to College Park. He followed. They tried to work it out again. He still was doing his thing. So she moved back to Mobile. And I grew up in Mobile from, I guess, the time I was 3 till 12 when we came back here to Georgia. But the time that I was in Alabama from 3 to 12, it was touch and go. There's not a memory that I can really put my finger on as like a little kid. And say, yeah, man, that was a fun time with my dad. And then I would come back and forth once we moved here. Then when I was 15, I went from the little kid who I want my daddy, to I'm 15 now. I don't care to have you in my life anymore. And he and I got into a verbal dispute. And I ran out of the house, and little did I know that was going to be the last time I had spoke to him. Father's Day came around some months after that. I did something nice for Tim, ironically. I took him out for Father's Day. He said, "You talked to your dad today?" And I was like, "Nah." He said, "Man, give him a call." All right. Okay, cool. But I never got a chance to give him a call. He passed probably not long after that, like a week or so after that. Wow. He passed away. And I held on to that pain for a long time of not making amends with my dad. So when I meet people nowadays and they say they have issues with their parents, I'm like, yo, work it out. Even if you guys come to an agreement of, hey, we're going to keep our space, but at least we're on good terms, work it out. So that was the relationship with my father.
Yeah, man, that's tough to hear. And I guess like you said, you had that transition. You were all like, I want my dad to, whatever. I don't need you anymore. That whole thing that you went through. How do you think that impacted you, or how do you think that left an imprint on you in your life and who you are?
Man, deeper than what I know. Being honest, I knowing more about myself now and just knowing more about how mental health works and just some of the things that people deal with. My dad not being there left me with abandonment issues. So as a young man, even though there weren't many men other than Tim who stayed in my life, there were many men who would come into my life, right? Different coaches. And the pattern that I would recognize, and it's maybe not true, but the pattern I would recognize when these coaches would come into my life, then they would leave, right? A coach comes, a coach leaves. A man comes, a man leaves. And that's a pattern I recognize, good or bad. Now, as a father, I know that, hey, man, these are coaches, they volunteering, they got jobs, they got kids, they got wives. I understand that now. But as a young man, I didn't understand that. Like, why are these men coming to my life and everybody's leaving me? And I recognized it was bad because I was maybe sophomore, junior year in college. And I was dealing with something, and it got me to a point where I ended up in my coach's office, my running back coach office. And we're talking, and I just broke down for no reason. I just broke down. And I got this white man sitting across from me. He don't know what to do. He's like, "What the hell is wrong with this kid?" But I'm breaking down, and he was like, "Oh, what's wrong?" I said, "Man, everybody leaves me." He's like, "Who's leaving you?" I said, "Everybody." I'm bawling, boo-hooing. And I don't know where it came from.
Wow.
But that's the impression that it left on me. And even as a young man, I yearned for a family. Like I thought about what my son was going to be like. And I have a small booklet upstairs, 2007, on a plane from a football game while I was in college. I'm writing like love notes to my son.
Wow.
Right? Because I'm just thinking that far ahead. I'm dreaming about my son and the relationship that I'm going to have because I wanted that so much. Now I didn't know what having a family, a wife and kids was going to really entail. Like, but that's what I wanted because I didn't have that. Yeah. So I mean, that's the impression it left on me, man. And it really, I think it makes me a greater father because I didn't have my dad. And I do my best to give them, my kids, everything that I didn't get. And I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect. I mess up every day. But I'm present. I'm present.
Yes.
And I'll give me the grace enough to say, at least you're doing that.
Yeah, no, and I totally feel, like I said, I've been doing this for quite some time, and I've noticed that is a common factor, right? When a lot of guys who had rocky relationships with their fathers or who their dads were in their lives, when it comes to their own kids, they overcompensate. And I mean, like they're really there 24/7. It's like, I need to be here. I need it because
I'm here too much.
Yeah, they understand the pain that caused them, right? And you don't want that for your kids, So you really try to be there, as much and even more so than you possibly can. Too, I know that they grow up in their kids and they say that it's like, oh man, you're just like you're swarming me, you're all over me, like I need my space, and it's they don't understand, and it's good, you know what I mean? Like it's a bittersweet feeling, right? Because you're just like, man,
yeah.
I need to give him his space, but then also like you have no idea what it is to be on the other side. You know what I mean? To sit there and like we said, you waiting on the porch for somebody who's never gonna show up. You know what I mean? Like who's saying they're gonna be there and they don't come. And I think the most visually, I guess, perfect way it was put in was in an episode of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I know we all seen that when his dad. I say, you already know what I'm talking about. Yeah,
bro. I remember the day I saw that as a kid. I sit there crying.
Yeah, man. Listen, I don't think anybody could see that and not cry. Like, I mean? Like, I don't know anybody see that because that just touches you in such a way. Like, just the pain and everything was just so real and raw. And then, especially if you're going through it, you understand it so much more and feel it on a different level.
Yeah.
So I've seen that a lot too with a lot of guys too when they're not there, and even for myself, like I've been through, I guess the saying that thing too, like just like an abandoned thing or feeling. Like I remember growing up, always being a fat kid and being teased on. You know what I mean? Like I remember one time that my dad came home really drunk and he just went off on me and just called me all sorts of fat and disgrace and all these things and just like. Yeah, I mean, like he to the point, like literally, like I went to my mom afterwards. I was like, "Yo, I hate this man. Like, I hate him.
Wow.
Straight up. I just and I says again, and like the next day, like he came to my room and he was just like, whatever I said to you yesterday, I said for your own good, and it's that. And as I'm older now, I believe he had good intentions. Like he was trying to motivate me some way, somehow, and he just didn't know how to do it. And that was just kind of his way of trying to maybe spark a fire or get something at. But it really messed me up. Like, and I'm like, I go out to school every day. Like, I try to avoid going to school. There's days I fake sick because all the kids are picking on me and making me feel worthless and not loved. And I'm supposed to be home and it's supposed to be my sanctuary. And I don't feel that here.
Yeah.
So when I was about like 13, I remember my first niece was born and I held her for the first time. And I was looking at this just innocent baby and just was like, this is what unconditional love is. Like right here, like she don't know me from nobody else, like vice versa. Like there's nothing, you know what I mean? Like this is just straight up love. You know what I mean? There's no judgment, no insecurities, nothing like that for anything. And at that time, at 13, that's when I knew I wanted to be a dad. Like I was like, I want to have my own kids that have that own sense of unconditional love and just be there and knowing that somebody loves me no matter what. And those were what I was looking for my kids, in that sense of peace. Because even like you said, as we're growing up too, we've been in relationships that, like you said, even with you actually wanted you to be a money person, things that you weren't, that you're not, and then they want something from you, and it's all conditional. It's all conditional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're trained that way to be able to be yourself and be unique with your kids and have that love that. Nothing is gonna change that. It's just incredible. I mean, like I love it. And now with you, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you have two kids, a boy and a girl.
Yep. Yep. Nyla and Navi.
Wait, I'm sorry. What's your daughter's name?
Nyla and Navi.
That's my daughter's name.
Really?
My daughter's name is Nyla, Nyla.
Okay, I was about to say, how do you spell it? every time we come across somebody that's a Nyla, the question is, how do you spell it? Because there's so many ways to spell Nyla. So we're Nylah.
Oh, you got it. Yeah, we're just Nyla. Yeah, my daughter, she's 6.
Yeah. Wow. I met a Nyla. She was an adult, and I was like, I didn't know they made Nylas that old. She was like 25, and the way she spelled hers was Nalia.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because at first I was like, your name is Nalia, and she was like, no, it's Nyla. Like, what? Yeah. So that's the wildest Nyla I've seen so far, and the oldest.
Wow. He said, I didn't know they make him this.
I did it, man.
Yeah, it was funny too, because I think my daughter's name, literally, man, it came to me in a dream. It was like before she was even born and stuff like that. I remember vividly, we were at like a carnival or something like that. I was there with my wife, and we had 3 kids. 2 of them were running off somewhere. I never seen them in my dream. I just knew I had 2 other kids, and then I had her, who was the baby, and I was holding her, and I was like, her name was Nyla. And I woke up and I was like, that's gonna be our daughter's name. Like, I don't know why it's gonna be our daughter's name. The spelling and everything, so that's how we came up with her name. Now, and the reason I ask you about your kids too, because like I said, like you learn that from your dad, always trying to be there and stuff. And as parents, we're kind of learning, and we kind of want things to teach our kids and stuff that's going to stick with them for the rest of their lives. So, what are some of the things that you try to instill in your children that are growing up, that you try to be mindful of?
And that's what I said about I'm not perfect, because I have all these grandiose ideas for my kids about what I want to teach them and what I want them to learn. But it's a daily struggle of me not being a representation, right? And I'm getting better with that. For a long time, fighting my own depression and things of that nature, my kids saw me do nothing.
Yeah.
So now I'm in a place where, man, they saw me have this pattern, and I don't want them to grow up and replicate this pattern. So how do I fix it? It's less with me doing it through words. It's more me doing it through action. So it's like, all right, everything they saw me do, lay around the house, not do anything all day, I need to do the total reverse, and I got to like double down on that. So now I have them going out with me everywhere I go. If I'm going to sell books, you come to sell books with me, right? If we're going to talk to people, you come to talk with me. If I'm going to have a business meeting, you come to have this business meeting with me. And I think that's really what it is me showing them, like, yo, my dad's putting in the work. And on the days that they do catch me slipping, they catch me somewhere around the house, I just lie to them and be like, yo, yeah, I had to work all night, so I'm tired. But for me, it's really, I just want to show them now. Yeah. I want to show them. And my biggest thing is entrepreneurship. If you get a job, get it because that's the job you want. Like my son says he wants to be a firefighter like me. Cool. But I don't want you to have to rely on that job. Right? Because when I got fired, that jacked up my household, my finances. Mm-hmm. I don't want my kids to have to rely on a job. If you have a job, have it because that's what you want to do. That's where you want to be. Not because you have to be there. Right? So use the job as a stepping stool, create a business, and be an entrepreneur. If I can impart anything on them, it's be an entrepreneur and seek spirituality for yourself. Seek God for yourself. Question everything. So those would be the 2 things. Question everything and be an entrepreneur.
It's wild how you say that. With your son too, how you wanted to be a firefighter. How old is your son, right?
7.
7. And he has that in his
7.
mind.
And he's a brilliant boy too. Brilliant boy. Loves karate. So I can easily see him as like one of those nerds who you say the wrong thing, he might let you slide a couple times, but all right. You know what I mean?
It's gonna be that day where
I would love for him to be a silent killer, man. And I think he has he's blessed with just the personality and the mindset and the physical capabilities. He's not a pure athlete, but when it comes to combat, he's that guy. He's that guy, and I see it in him.
yeah, no, that's and I think that's part of it too. Like as you say, just as a young man, right? When your dad's in your life and he's your role model, right? You want to be like him. You want to walk in his footsteps. So I think I can see why he wanted, like he said that, want to be a firefighter. Because I had a similar thing with my dad, and it was and I love telling the story because it's one of my favorite things that my dad has ever really taught me and put it in on me. But like I said, my dad's a mechanic, right? Works on cars his whole life. And growing up, like everybody talks about my dad being this wonderful mechanic, and they look up to him for being this amazing mechanic. So I'm like, I want to be a mechanic like my dad. Everybody loves him and all this stuff, and then this craziness of like, I want to be a mechanic like my dad. So I try to, watch him, or when he's working on cars, I try to get involved and stuff like that. And he always pushed me away. He always sent me away. He never took time to teach me any of those things. The only things I really did was, how to change a tire if I got a flat, the basics, an oil change, the things just to really like maintain your car that people should just regularly know, but nothing into deep mechanics. And my brother, he has a different mom. He's between me and my sister, and he lived out in Puerto Rico. So when he would come visit and stuff, him and my dad will go off to different garages and work on mechanics. And, I remember this time I flipped out on my dad. I'm like, yo, Pops, like, I'm trying to become a mechanic, and you never want to teach me, but, like, our brother who we see, like, once a year, like, you're taking, like, that's kind of messed up. Like, why are you doing that? You know what I mean? Like, that's mad disrespectful. And, he sat me down, right? And he was just covered in, like, all this oil. He said, look at me. I'm covered in oil. Look at my hands. They're all cut up and bleeding and full of grease. So I said, look at this. This is not the life that I want for you. You're going to make money with your brain, not with your hands. Just like that. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like, all right. So, that was the first time that I've ever like really seen my dad say something that made me feel like, he had this brilliant plan for me. He's like, you're going to be, make money with your brain. And that was a spark of the entrepreneur in me. That was a spark right there, because after that, like, I was bootlegging DVDs and CDs and like I learned all these technology things, just learning ways to really make money with my hands, like just like that. And one of the things that really paid off for me, like years later, my brother-in-law now, I was over at his house and stuff, and we were shaking hands, and he's like, man, Freddie, every time I shake your hands, man, your hands are so soft, and you got no cat. Like, I'm saying, like, these are a real man's hand right here. Look at my hands. These are real man's hands. I said, okay. I said, so what do you do, right? He's like, well, I'm a window cleaner. On these tall buildings I hang outside, and I clean the windows. And I said, cool. And how much do they pay you? He said, they pay me $18 an hour. And I said, wow, so you dangling outside of a window, high up in the air, getting paid $18 an hour. That's wonderful. I make $30 an hour, and I sit at a desk. And he was like, word, why you gotta go? I said, you wanted to play that game? I said, listen, man, like, you know what I mean? Like, I sit at the desk, because of that.
When I was in high school, I shook the ball while I was hand, because he came to the shoe store that I worked, and his hands was really soft, like really soft, like a girl's hand. And I hated him for almost 20 years because of that. Because I was like, I gotta go ahead and lift these heavy ass weights. He got hit with these soft hands, not doing a goddamn thing. Yeah, I hated Bow Wow for years because of that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so it was just that meaningful thing, and then that spark of entrepreneurship that my dad gave to me, and I've seen even you with your kids. I think you had another video too with your daughter. You're telling about like selling books and getting paid, and her eyes lighting up, and all those things. It's amazing to see like how like everybody says like kids are sponges, and then when you really see it firsthand, it's incredible. Because like that with my daughter, right? She's 6, and I've been doing this for some time, and just a couple of weeks ago I was just sitting here and I was doing some editing and everything, and my theme music was playing as I was working on the editing. And right on cue, my daughter comes out of nowhere. She's like, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Fat Freddy. I'm like, oh, wow. Like, she's like, yeah, I know, I got it,
That's
got it, I
dope.
got it. And every time we go places and she introduces herself, she's like, yeah, my name is Nyla. This is my dad, Freddie Fox. He makes t-shirts to sell them and makes money. And he has his own show and he talks to people. But I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, so seeing how proud she is of what I'm doing, it's just that extra
Yeah.
motivation to kind of go out there and do that for them and show them that it's possible, right? Because I think that's like you saying it too. Like, you're showing your kids what is possible, taking them to these business meetings, showing them what it is to take a book, showing them how to hustle, like learning firsthand. Especially at the age that they are now, that again they're sponge men, they're sucking all that information in, and when we least expect it, they're gonna spew it back at us, and it's just
Oh,
a prime.
they hit me with stuff all the time. They hit me with stuff all the time, like these little catchphrases and sayings and stuff. I tell them, they'll flip it and tell me, and I can't fight it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I messed up. Let me go do that. Like, so it's happening already. I've had two really beautiful moments with my daughter. One was around this time. No, I was gonna say this time last year, but no, it was a little bit closer than that. But I was at my last fire department, and I hated being there. Um, and I asked my daughter. I didn't talk to anybody about it. I talked to her. I said, "Yo, how would you feel if I stopped being a firefighter and I went back to being a comedian?" She said, "I would love it." I was like, "Why?" And she said, "Because I know that's what you really are, and I don't like you being a firefighter." I said, "Shout out."
That's all you need to say. Say less. Say less. Hold on. Let me get my bat.
like just her, just the fact that she believes in me, just her little belief, man, made me believe in myself again. I was like, all right, I'm out. Another one, she was maybe 4 or 5, and it was a random day. Again, me dealing with depression and things of that nature. I'm in my feelings on this day, and I didn't verbalize anything, but she walked over to me. She gave me a hug. She said, "Daddy, no matter what happens, I'll always love you." I said, "What?" She said, "No matter what happens, I'll always love you." I'm like, "Where'd that come from?" She's like, "Just wanted to tell you." So it's those moments where in my darkest and deepest, I reflect on those moments. I'm like, I'm good. I'm all right. I'm good. Because that little one right there, she believes in me. And she gets that artist side of me. The things that you pass on to your kids, she's an artist. My son don't care about art. But I wake up in the morning, Nyla's got an iPad going, playing her music, watching some Barbie show, doing arts and crafts, making bracelets, drawing something. Like, she's an artist, man. And asking me, who can we sell this to? Like,
Yeah.
Artist and entrepreneur already. So, like, those parts of me have rubbed off on her. She's like, how can I sell this? Yeah.
And I think, as you said earlier, right, talking about religion and faith and all that stuff and having God. And I think definitely, he knows how to use our children to get to us. And I mean that in the most positive way because, as you said, Dad, right, you're going through a tough time and your daughter came to you and shared some words with you that you just caught you off guard. And I had something very similar happen to me like that with that pod about the last year or so. We were was going through it's like same thing, just a lot of depression and anxiety and stuff. And I was at a point where I was really contemplating suicide. And just like really hurting because I just didn't feel like I had any value or any worth like that. And my daughter, for the longest, I remember we was on Disney. She wanted to see the movie Raya and the Last Dragon. Right? You seen it? Seen it?
Yeah, we watched it with the first. We paid the money for it too. It was a good movie. It was a good movie.
Yeah, no, and it was beautiful because like right, and I remember like we're watching it, and the whole concept of this movie was just so in depth about her trying to get her dad back and all these things, and just her relationship with her father. And like as I'm sitting here watching the movie, I'm kind of getting in touch because I'm seeing the importance of the dads and their daughter, and then my daughter just like turns around and hugs me and just squeezes me like with just such love and tenderness. And just really, really tight. and then she just turned around and went back to the movie. Like, cause it was that other part where, like, the dad was just turned to stone or something like that, and she was missing him and stuff, and she was just like, man, like, I just felt like if that would have happened to my dad, I'd be so sad. And it got me thinking, like, if I really did something to myself, man, like, how much would she suffer? Could I really do that to her? Like, could I possibly put her through that much pain for the rest of her life and not be around to do anything about it?
Yeah.
And that movie will always hold that special part of me, because just that moment too, just seeing how important I was to her. That really just kind of helped me turn around and kind of find my place again, and get that motivation. She does that all the time, man. Like, she's a different artist on TV or whatever, people who are famous. She says, so Dad, when are they going to be on your show? When are you going to have them on your show? When are you going to talk to them?
It's crazy belief that they have in this, man.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know what, babe, I'm trying to make that, and you just reach out and, just kind of keeps going and doing that. So it's a marvelous thing having these kids.
It's unexplainable, those little moments that you get with your kids like that, and that hug. And there's something that happens inside of you. You can't explain it, but you feel it. It's like, it's almost tangible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, golly. Yeah, you got me like wanting to go hug him right now.
Right. Love it. Now back to that. I know you said you had, the biggest, I guess, the father figure you had in your life was your coach, right? Tim, right?
Yeah.
Now, was it just like just football that you played, or?
Primarily football. So in high school, freshman year, I did football, freshman basketball, varsity. I did freshman football, varsity football, freshman basketball, varsity track. Sophomore year, I did varsity football, JV football, varsity track. Junior year, it was varsity football, varsity track, and in my last year, it was just football because I tore my ACL.
Now, well, let me feel on your coach, Trevor. Your coach Tim, you said I think it came when you were like 15 or 7th grade or something like that. 7th, 8th grade was when you had to coach Tim?
Yeah, like 7th, 8th grade, he came around.
What was it about him, man, that just created that bond with you? Like, why do you think you guys connected?
Because he took the initiative to take me on. It wasn't a conversation of, hey, I'm gonna, at least not with me, maybe with my mom, but it wasn't a conversation with me of, hey, I'm gonna take you under my wing and you're my little guy. It was just, his actions, like, yo, Tim, kind of hurting. I need like $50 for something. All right, I got you. We're moving around a lot. I want to make sure I can focus on football and focus on school. My mom, we're about to move in. My aunt, I don't want to be surrounded with all these women. Can I come over there with you? Come on. Like, to this day in his house, there's one of the rooms he still refers to as my room. It's like, yeah, I got the office set up over in your room. To this day, I haven't lived there in 17 years, but to this day, he still calls that my room. So it was where he placed himself in my life. Man, he did a lot of the father stuff, and he didn't have to do it. It's been many times I told him, like, thank you, and I've asked him why, and his response was, because somebody did it for me, so I just need you to turn around and do it for somebody else. And now I'm at that place in my life where I'm like, okay, it's my turn. It's my turn to do it for someone else. I got my son. My nephew lives literally one street over, and I'm trying to be a better uncle for him. And I got other little guys that I look to mentor. So it's my turn, and I'm just trying to rise to the occasion now. But for him, it was, someone did this for me. Therefore, I'm paying it forward. I'm doing it for you. The way you repay me is not by giving me your signing bonus when you go to the league. That's what I told him I was going to do. But it's by doing this for somebody else. And, each one teach one.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, man. And having him for so long and creating that bond. And I guess if he was like the primary father figure that you had, what do you think is one of the biggest things you learned from him?
Respect. Have respect for yourself. Look a man in his face. Shake his hand. Like just the base level things that a man does to gain that initial respect. And I think it was less life lessons verbally, and again, it was just actions. It was, I'm not responsible for you, but I'm going to make myself responsible for you.
Right.
And I'm going to make myself accountable to you. And like I said, at 35, I'm just embracing those lessons and recognizing it's my turn. So if there was anything that he taught me, it was accountability. Be accountable for somebody else. I think that's probably what it was. You know, it was many little micro lessons, but the main thing was, you know, respect and accountability.
Yeah, and a lot of people have said that too. Just respect is huge. So that yeah, you learn from those males in your lives and how they teach you how to carry yourself around other men and women. And knew that because my dad was the same way too. He never really. Now as I got older, we start to have those heart to hearts and have those deep conversations. I think we're trying to really develop more now that friendship. And creating that bond to that level. So we have great conversations now. But growing up, it was just a lot of just seeing how he handled himself in different situations and I think that he did, and that's how I've learned to be the man that I am today. I say just now for a couple weeks now, how we would treat my mom. Even if they had arguments or whatever went down, the next morning he's still making sure that she has her cup of coffee ready when she got to the bathroom and cleaning her car and all those little things and all those. What it means to maintain and take care of your woman in the house, and that's what I've learned from him again. Like he said, just by watching him in his actions. So there's so much more to be learned from watching than having these conversations. It's key to, like you said earlier, being present. Right, we're not going to be perfect parents, but we're present parents. And I've said this before too, is that our kids will never remember every single time we were there for them, but they will never forget the times we weren't. So it's key to really just show up and do your best and try. And I think that as long as your kids are seeing that and they understand that, that they're gonna love you unconditionally and have it. Because there's even times now with my daughter, like I'll do little things and stuff like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, you don't have to say sorry, Dad. I know it was an accident. I know that this, and she knows that we're not perfect, that we make mistakes, but keeping that dialogue going and that conversation and let them know that we're trying. You know what I mean? That's most important.
That's one thing I do. I talk to my kids, and like when I make a mistake that I feel like we need to talk about this. Like I'll tell them, hey, I messed up. This is what I did. This is why I did. And I'm gonna try my best not to do it again. How do you feel about it? Right. When I got fired from my job, the first thing I did after telling my wife, that was a tough one. But I set my kids down and I said, hey, you know how Daddy tells you everything is not funny, and there's a time and place for laughs and giggles. Well, Daddy didn't listen to his own advice. This is what happened. How do you feel about it? Like, I just came out with it. There's no reason for me to hide who I am or my flaws, right? Because a lot of times I think kids see their parents and that's your superhero. Then you grow up and you're like, what? Like loving basketball, right? Q grew up, realized his dad, you know what I mean? Dad was out there and that he was distraught. No, I'm going to let you know I'm human right here, right now. So when you grow up, you don't start to learn my flaws, learn my setbacks, and now that affects who you are as a human. No, see my flaws now. Right. Learn from my mistakes now. A smart man learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. I want my children to be wise men and women, right? But learn from my mistakes. So you're not repeating the same thing when you get older. And you'll know, like, hey, man, my dad did this when I was 6. I remember that. Let me go holler at him, right? there's that bar of understanding. Like I know I can talk to my dad because he understands, right? My daughter can talk to me about artist stuff right now because she recognizes me as an artist. But when they start to grow up and do these things that others may deem reckless or it might be failures, they can say, man, my dad he did some reckless things. He's failed. He's made a career out of failing. Let me holler at him. That's what I want.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's key to see that they know that we do make mistakes and go through tough times and struggles, so that again they see that we're human and that we can work things through and that we're able to change and adapt, right? We're not perfect. We're not, our word isn't law and isn't Bible and all those things. Because I say it time and time again, you know what I mean? Like, just as our parents, so are we. We're learning as we grow up how to do this parent thing, because our kids are different individuals with different likes and dislikes and personalities and all that stuff. So it's not a cookie cutter approach to raising kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so we have to learn, adapt, and develop as they do, and change our tactics and practice. So I think it's key that our kids see that we are human, and that we're willing to make mistakes, and that we're willing to work on correcting our mistakes when we do make them. That's the whole point of life. Life is full of mistakes. We're going to make them. It's how we react to them, and how do we change, and how do we adapt, and how do we avoid from making those again. So definitely big up to you on that. So as we're winding down here, man, I just want to say, man, it's been a great conversation. I love talking to you, man. It's been very, very real. I got 2 questions for you as we close it up here for you.
Let's do it.
So the first one is, right, with everything that you've been through, and growing up, and having these people in your lives, either through being a firefighter, or through sports, what do you think has been the biggest piece of advice you've ever received?
Ah, man. Oh, that's a good one. Biggest piece of advice I've ever received. It's a two-parter. Through the fraternity and through being a firefighter. So through the fraternity, I learned piss poor preparation promotes piss poor performance, and piss poor performance promotes pain. And through being a firefighter, I learned when facing adversity, we don't rise to the occasion. We fall to our lowest level of training. So with those two concepts in mind, the main point is preparation.
Yes.
Right? How they say, you don't have to get ready, you stay ready, right? So if you prepare, when that time comes, it's much easier to become what you want to become. It's much easier to do what you're trying to accomplish if you're prepared, right? And it's not to say that you're going to, not to say you're going to be successful, but with that preparation, not only do you have the training, but you also have the confidence to back it up. And your chances of success increase. But if you're not prepared, chances of failure are almost inevitable. So I think those 2 nuggets put together, probably the greatest piece of advice I've ever received.
I never heard that second one. I heard of over the piss poor preparation, that one here. But I like how you said that too. We don't rise to the occasion. We fall to our lowest. Was it a level of preparation? Highest.
Fall to the highest level of our preparation.
Highest. I like that. That is true. Like my teacher. Well, my choir teacher, one of the things that she used to say to us all the time, which I loved, she said, "Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent." I said, "Oh, yep. Okay, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, how to permanently do that." And I was like, "Okay, so that one's one that I've always loved from her." Miss Sinagul, shout out to you.
And it goes both ways. Right. It goes both ways, right? If you practice the right thing, it's going to imprint the right thing. If you practice the wrong thing, you build a habit, the wrong habit is going to imprint that wrong habit, right? Mm-hmm. So you'll get perfect in that bad habit. Yeah, so it goes both ways.
Yeah, man. So I definitely like those 2 gems that are dropped there. And then lastly, my question to you is, again, just with all your experience and everything that you've been through, looking at the younger generation, these kids coming up, what is one piece of advice you would like to offer them?
Ooh, ooh. This is one I've come across in the past month, and I think about it a lot when it comes to my son. Bear with me. I'm gonna try to paraphrase it. Hard times make hard men. Hard men make soft times. Soft times make soft men. Soft men make hard times. Right? And that cycle continues. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. So for my son, even with my daughter, the next generation, I think again, preparation, preparing your mind and your body to be ready for whatever the world is going to throw at you. The worst case scenarios that the world is going to throw at you. Being fully prepared for those moments when they come, because it's not a matter of if, it's when. When the ish hits the fan, being ready for those moments, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially, being ready for those moments, right? But knowing that you don't have to be the aggressor in everything, but be willing and ready to be aggressive if need be. That's what I would partake to the next generation.
Yeah, as you said, that made me think of this quote, and I'm probably gonna butcher it, man. But it says it was something along the lines like, sometimes you have to beat a lion so you could live amongst the sheep or something like that.
Yeah,
But it was just about that too, you know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta be out there, you gotta put yourself out there, you gotta be strong, you know what I mean? Like, and not let people sleep on you, show that you're ready to prepare yourself so that you can live a life of peace. Yeah, I mean
yeah,
that's all we want. It's not about, like you said, that too, like being the aggressor 24/7. It's knowing when to turn that on and off. When the time is right. And goes back to, like we said too, just having a good integrity, right? Real integrity, as we should say, right?
real
Real
integrity. There you
integrity,
go.
real integrity. To be able to handle those things, and like you said, just be confident, be sure of yourself, right? Just be able to understand where you are and know yourself well enough, so that you can go ahead and not lose yourself when being faced with adversity, right? Because sometimes we either rise or adapt, you know what I mean, like, or succumb to what's coming at us. So it's important to have those strong morals, good integrity, so that you don't lose yourself and you just be a happy life. Because when you're not living to your true self, it's just, it leads to, as we talked about earlier, there's all the mental health issues and all those things, and depression and anxiety. Because I think Jim Carrey said it the best too when it comes to, he said that depression is your body telling you it's tired of playing this character.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
And
Oh, I love that.
that just sticks to me. So whenever at times like I sit there and I start feeling depression, feeling sad and stuff like that, I'm like, all right, what's going on? Like, is this really who I am and what I like, to try to really kind of center, regain my bearings and stuff? Because I know for so long in my life I tried to fit in. Like I always say, I would be a chameleon, try to adapt and follow the flow. But in doing that, I lost so much of myself, that it just led me to, I was just so confused on who I am and what I liked. So it's just very important that the sooner you get to understand who you are as a person at your core, the better. And just sticking to that, you'll just live a life of very minimal stress, because you're not trying to put on an actor or facade for anybody else. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for sitting down with me. It was a very, very great conversation. I appreciate you being open, honest, and sharing those details, man. I wish you nothing but the best of luck to you, fam, man. Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much.
Appreciate it. Again, I'm grateful for being here. Can we run it back next year? Can we come back next year and do this again?
Yeah, man. Well, whenever you want, man, I'm here, man. Listen, we could do this whenever, man. I love doing the show. I love having a conversation with you. I got another show too where it's really focused on I guess the mental health aspect and men being able to be open. It's called Fab with Fab. So face fears and build bonds with Fab, where we just talk about things that goes on in our life, right? Because a lot of times, and all of us men go through this feeling that we're the only ones going through certain problems or hardships, right? Like we feel that everybody else's life is up there, and that we're the only ones struggling because we don't talk about it, right? There's a ban, don't talk about your feelings, don't talk about your failure, don't talk about, like, you got to be a man, you just shut up and keep moving. But that's also so toxic and damaging on our own psyche because it drives us insane. So with this other show that I do is just to give us the time to talk, open freely, talk about our feelings, find out the guys that are going through things or have gone through something that we went through, and be able to walk each other through it. So then we're going to survive.
I'm laughing because just 2 months ago, the pressures of fatherhood and husbandhood and comedy and finances, just everything circling around in my life, it finally got me to a point where I said to myself, I'm like, yo, I'm done. I'm over whatever this is, right? The expectations that a wife can have on you weighs heavy. They think we don't listen, but we hear everything. We might not say anything back, but we hear everything. We internalize everything. And I was like, man, there's nobody in this world, absolutely nobody that feels what I'm feeling. There's nobody that's going through everything I've gone through, right? And it was just, I wanted to breath, right? And then I had a conversation a month ago, and I was talking with a brother, Ronnie Brown from Auburn, football player. We were talking, and he expressed those exact same feelings that I had. And I was like, you too? And I had that conversation with him. I started having other conversations with other men and other conversations, and I realized there's so many of us suffering from what they call quiet desperation. There's so many of us. Quick tangent, sorry. Will Smith, what we saw, that was a man who's been dealing with quiet desperation. And he finally snapped. Mm-hmm. We witnessed a breakdown live on the air. That's what that was. And there's other things to it, other layers. But what we saw was a black man dealing with the frustrations of being a black man and wanting, again, we hear our wives, wanting to protect womanhood, going back to the beginning, right? Childhood trauma, all this stuff just meshed together, and we saw an explosive moment. And so many of us are having those explosive moments. It could be slapping somebody on stage. It could be taking our own lives. It could be shooting another black man for stepping on your shoes. We're all having these moments, and the way we choose to express them could either be beneficial or detrimental, but it's all a choice. And there's so many of us. So I commend you for having those conversations and putting those conversations out there, man. We need it so bad.
Yeah, man. And if you haven't read it, man, do you know who Jason Wilson is?
No.
He changed my life. And if you look at him and I'm dying because one of my dreams, and I know it's gonna happen, I'm gonna sit down one of these days and I'm gonna have an interview with him on my show. But this man is one of the reasons why I kind of started doing what I'm doing here now. And just a quick follow up, and the reason I bring him up is for two reasons. Number one, is that he has a book called "Cry Like a Man."
I think I have heard about this book.
Read it, bro. Read it. It changed my life.
I'm doing it this week.
It really matter of fact, when it's over, man, I'm gonna reach out to you, man, because we're gonna talk about that. But it was a book that really kind of set off my whole podcast thing and all the things that I'm doing here, because there's a term that he talks about there, like you said, quiet desperation. What he says is what it is that when men we're told to shut down our feelings and all these things, and what we put ourselves is what he calls is emotional incarceration. Right, and it's all that stuff, and we're just like feeling up, and he talks about in the book too is that then because we're in emotional incarceration, we lash out, as it via drugs, sexualizing women, violence, drinking, smoke, whatever. All these things is because, like you say, we don't know how, we can't deal with these things because we don't know how. We're not taught how, and we're not allowed to speak about it. So we lash out in the most inappropriate manners. Because we don't know what else to do. And I say that too. That's my term of saying what rage is. Rage is when all these emotions that you've been forced and bottled up to hide because you can't show the world erupt. And all your anger, your joy, your fear, your depression, your sadness is just exploding out of you all at once, and you have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a book. He has another book that I haven't gotten to called Battle Cry, which I'm getting to now. 'Cause I have some other books that I'm listening to, but Cry Like a Man is definitely one that I think all men should read, period, or listen to, because it's just that impactful in our lives. So definitely look him up if you, as soon as you get out, like, on Instagram, whatever. Jason Wilson, amazing man. So again, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but as I said before, we'll do this
Okay.
anytime, whenever you're ready, man. Shoot me a message. We can definitely talk. I'll definitely love to talk to you on my other show where we could talk about our feelings and all that stuff too as well. To get on there, because it's some real things that just be happening, man. Like just now, like you said, that with your daughter was crazy, that you had that moment with her at the park and she gave you that hug and said those things to you, and I kind of had something similar because I was in a dark place, and then that has happened to me. And then another guy that I interviewed a couple weeks ago, we were talking about like school. We just finished school together, and like I said, when I got my papers and filled out if I was graduating, I went to my car and I just started crying. I started bawling because of everything I went through to get that. I was just couldn't believe it. And he told me the same thing too. As soon as I finished my last assignment, I just started crying because it was over. It was a sense of relief, and I was in tears. And we all go through these things, you know what I mean? Like, we just got
Yeah.
to find, like I said, we just gotta face our fears and build bonds. We can build connections. We talk to guys who've been through it, walk us through it, talk and go. We are not alone, guys. We are not alone. All you gotta do is just speak up and reach out, man. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
That's it, man. Well, Brandon, again, wish you so much success. Thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me. And everybody, as I always say, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, your big brother loves you. Stay blessed, everybody.
Hey, 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 hey.